and good afternoon. It is Friday, and that means it's time for our Lunch and Learn. Now today, this is very important information. I found it quite shocking because I used to live in the UK where we drank tea all the time, and I prefer dark black tea. I don't really prefer a green tea because just to me, it just does not have the flavor that a black oolong tea has, okay, or an English breakfast tea. Those are my favorites. Now, of course, I live in South Texas now, and so it doesn't get that cold that I have tea very often. However, this is some really startling information, and it's information that I'm going to start adding to my diet because everybody wants to do what you need to do for cancer prevention, right? And so you may already drink green tea. You may not. If you don't, you're going to want to start, all right, because it's just really, really exciting. It's got anti-inflammatory and anti-cancer benefits. Not only does it help you recover from cancer, but it also prevents certain kinds of cancers. So we're going to look at some statistics, and we're going to look at some things that I learned this week when I was preparing for this. And so this is really, really exciting. So after decades of research, they have found that green tea's cancer-fighting prowess, including a study just now published in 2022 in the International Journal of Molecular Sciences, demonstrated that the catechins, which are the polyphenols in the leaves of green tea, can prevent a variety of cancer. So that's exciting. It is also a promising angiogenesis inhibitor. This means when you have cancer, the cancer tumor will sprout new blood vessels, okay, because it wants to be fed. So that is called angiogenesis. And so the green tea has been shown to prevent that. And so that's really, really exciting. So in a study in Biomedicine and Pharmacotherapy goes even further, stating that, quote, and its polyphenolic substances like catechins show chemopreventative and chemotherapeutic features, and experimental preventatives are substances that prevent cancer, while chemotherapeutics are things that you take while you're doing chemo, and it helps alleviate the problems that chemotherapy does on your healthy skin. So this is really, really important, and these findings are not new. They have been known as far back as 2003 and 2006 when they did some major studies. I've not heard anybody report that if you have cancer or if you are concerned about cancer, that you need to up your green tea intake because it is both cancer preventative and cancer therapeutic. So I have not heard that. But in the International Journal of Cancer, both in 2003 and 2006, they reported the same results, that consumption of green tea potentially inhibits the formation of new blood vessels and therefore reduces the risk of developing certain forms of cancer. Now, you may know, you may not know, that you have cancer approximately 10 years before your medical doctor can find it on blood work or can find it on an imaging, thermal imaging, or magnetic imaging, or whatever kind of imaging that they do. So if we are preventing the blood vessels from generating, then we can prevent actually the cancer growing. So that is just absolutely exciting. So there's going to be some big words here. So you know how I am with these big words. Sometimes I get it right, sometimes I don't. But we're going to talk about the effectiveness of the green tea polyphenols, and they abbreviate that to GTP, all right, and its constituent. Now, here's a big word for you, epigalacticocatechin gallate, so EGCG, in tumor regression. This is also research published in Cancer Letters in 2007. In this animal study, mice were inoculated with human breast cancer. The scientists considered the treatment with these green tea polyphenols as effective in delaying the tumor incidence as well as reducing the tumor burden. What does that mean? That means cancer did not develop very quickly and the cancers were not very big. So that is really, really exciting. The catechins are responsible active healing agents in Camellia sinensis. That is the green tea's formal name, okay? They neutralize reactive oxygen and nitrogen species, and their derivatives include epicatechin, epigallocatechin, we talked about that, and then that EGCG, we talked about that earlier. So all of these are potent anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer agents in the catechins. So you may not have heard of catechins. Now, we have a product here in the clinic called green tea catechins. We've got another product in the clinic called Tea Green 97. So we're going to talk about each of these and how much you need to take and how beneficial it's going to be to you. So remember we said that it had chemotherapeutic characteristics. That means it helps chemo do better, or it protects your skins against the ravages of chemo. So when people have breast cancer, a lot of times after they take the tumor out, they'll give you either tamoxifen or another drug called raloxifene, all right? These are two commonly prescribed medications to prevent breast cancer. An average 30-day supply costs about $90. So you can get it with your insurance and all that kind of thing. But what they have found is that if you take green tea along with these medications, that the green tea enhances the medication's anti-cancer properties. So that's really, really exciting. And so talk to your doctor if he would recommend that you take green tea along with these medications if you're taking them. So not all tea is the same. They're not all good. So we're going to talk about some of that. So it says the origin and type of green tea leaves matter. Unfermented green tea is the best, and in a 2020 study published by the International Journal of Molecular Science, found that when you buy tea for medicinal reasons, you want to get the best sourced product because you want it to do what you want it to do. Now, most of the teas come from Asia because that's where they naturally grow. And so they studied all the different kinds of teas and the amount of catechins that they had and their antioxidant abilities. So in a Polish study that was published in 2019, it had the goal of evaluating these markers as well as the metal content that was in the leaves. Now, a lot of times when we think of metal, we think of heavy metals, we think of a toxic load, but your minerals are metals too. So your potassium, your niacin, your calcium, your manganese, your iron, your copper, your zinc, all of those are minerals as well, metals as well, and they are in the leaves of the plant. So observation included teas that were cultivated in Japan, Sri Lanka, South Korea, India, China, okay? So the highest amount of catechins were observed in green tea samples from Korea and Japan. So look, if you have green tea, now this is another thing about teas. A lot of people think that, oh, I'm going to get this kind of tea because it's good for my liver. I'm going to get this kind of tea because it's good for whatever ailment you're looking at. They are good, but a tea is a very, very low concentration of the therapeutic ingredients. So we don't really recommend teas because we want you to get more for your money, and so we will recommend the same therapeutic ingredient in a capsule or in a tincture. A tea is usually very, very dilute. However, it shows that the highest catechins were from Korea and Japan. Now, the EGCG was the primary catechin found in one tea sample which originated in China. Now, we know that China is toxic. We know that China's dirt is very toxic, a lot of heavy metals in the atmosphere. So when you are purchasing these teas, look for the country of origin and also look for the non-GMO label, look for the organic label, and go with a manufacturer that you know takes all of the poisons out of the whatever they're producing, okay? So we want to make sure that we have very high standards of quality in the tea, and some teas are just better than others. Green tea from Sri Lanka showed the highest value of antioxidants. Now, what do antioxidants do? Antioxidants stop the free radical damage. So what is a cancer? It is a free radical damage. That's how it started. And so if you get a green tea from Sri Lanka, it's got the highest antioxidant benefit in that. So testing called principal component analysis revealed a positive correlation between the EGCG component and the elements of copper and calcium. Among others, both calcium and copper are considered essential minerals for human health. The latter, calcium, is found in its highest concentration in original and blended teas from China. So polyphenols, which is what your catechins are, polyphenols are naturally occurring plant food and are beneficial for heart health. And this is traced back to Japan and Korean teas. The Japanese maca tea displayed the highest amount of chromium. Now, you know that if you're diabetic or if you have a sweet tooth or if you, all of your comfort foods are bread and pasta, chromium is a mineral that you need because it helps with cravings for starchy foods and grains. So some teas they found were heavily toxic in heavy metals, and these were teas that were from China and India. However, the paper emphasizes that the values were far below appropriate norms for green teas. So what that means is those manufacturers took some extra time to make sure that the harmful metals were not in there. So it says taking all obtained data into account, and I don't know how to say this word. It's I'm going to say Geoncha, Geoncha, may be considered to have the best quality of all investigated green teas within the present study, followed by the Japanese green tea samples. Some sources even state that the EGCG is the most active, abundant, and condensed in the matcha tea, which is considered the highest quality tea due to its unique chemical composition, flavor, and health-promoting properties, as well as the high content of antioxidant and anti-inflammatory substances. So what cancers are affected? This is what we want to know, right? Well, almost all of them, okay? So it doesn't really matter what you're facing, what's in your family line. If you have cancer in your family, then you're going to want to work on your tea intake because it stops the proliferation of a tumor and it also stops the actual angiogenesis where it puts down its roots and its blood vessels and all that kind of thing. So according to the study in the International Journal of Molecular Scientists, green tea catechins are widely described to be effective in the prevention of lung cancer, breast cancer. It reduced the percentage of mammography density, okay, so that's important, esophageal cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, and prostate cancer. Those are a lot of cancers. So they have found in this study that if you had enough of the green tea in your system, that you were going to have less problems with developing these cancers. So that's really, really encouraging. In addition to the quality and quantity and concentration of green tea are also important for its efficacy. Published in the Cancer Causes and Control, a Japanese study suggests that drinking 7 or more cups of green tea per day decreases the odds of stomach cancer to 0.69%. That is less than 1%. So if you drink 7 cups of tea or more per day, your incidence of stomach cancer is going to be less than 1% compared to those who drank 7 cups, compared a day compared to a baseline rate of one who rarely drank it. Occasional tea drinkers had a 0.62 odds ratio of colon cancer. All right, so we want to do whatever we can do to reduce the odds of getting cancers. Why do we get cancers? We get cancers because our environment is polluted, Our food is polluted. We don't have our channels of elimination functioning properly in our bodies, and so we're not getting rid of the toxic load that we need to, the way we need to, and so these noxious substances get in our tissues, they're held in our tissues, and then they start morphing into a cancer, and that's just not a great thing. So, to reduce the chances of gastric cancer, stomach cancer, by about 60%, individuals need to consume more than 250 grams of green tea per month. 250 grams of green tea per month. All right. This also has a protective effect on liver cancer. So just how much is 250 grams of tea? I hear you asking me that question. So I did the math. And it's a lot. So obviously, if you drink your tea, you have to have 7 or more cups of tea a day. Maybe somebody does that. I don't know. I don't know anybody that has that much tea in a day. Even when I lived in England and we drank tea, we would have maybe 4 cups a day, maybe 5 cups a day, but not 7 cups a day. So the study is 250 grams of tea, right? So if you took this product, and it has 1,200 milligrams per two capsules, it's a dose, 1,200 milligrams, you would have to do 14 per day. Okay, so that's 7 doses. I could probably do 7 doses of this versus 7 cups of tea just because I'm busy and I'm just not going to sit down and make a cup of tea 7 times a day. I'm just not going to do it. My life is just too busy, and I don't like hot tea all that much. Unless it's, as I said, the black breakfast tea, English breakfast tea. So, 7 doses of this one a day. This one, per 2 capsules, only has 500 milligrams. So on this one, you'd have to have 17 doses a day to get to the 250 grams per month. So is it doable? Yes, it's doable. How afraid of cancer are you? We don't want you to be afraid. How much does cancer play a part in your genetics? Are you fighting cancer now? Do you know somebody in your family that's fighting cancer now? Both of my parents have had cancer. They're both survivors, but they have both had cancers, different kinds of cancers. So I have a real incentive to up my green tea intake because it's in the genes, all right? In a Chinese study, a different Chinese study, it claims that drinking green tea seems to have decreased the risk for the development of gastric cancer by 81%, liver cancer by 78%, esophageal cancer by 79% among alcohol drinkers. Now, full disclosure, my late husband, he was diagnosed with esophageal cancer, and this was in late 1998, and he passed early 1999. So it was a very short transit time. You know, we didn't know he had cancer until the end of December, and by mid-May, he had already gone. And so had we known that drinking green tea could have helped him, that may have been something that we would have done, but we didn't know. But you know now, all right? You know now. Researchers found a potential decrease in the risk of developing 3 different kinds of cancer among cigarette smokers. These same three cancers, right? So we know that if you smoke, you're going to be more susceptible to having cancer. But if you smoke and you drink green tea, then your stomach cancer is going to be reduced by 16%, your liver cancer by 43%, and your esophageal cancer by 31%. Now, 39% for non-smokers, 31% for smokers. Now, why is that? Because when you're smoking, it gets in your esophagus anyways. And so that's a real good, it's a real good incentive to be able to take that green tea if you've got those cancers in your family or you're dealing with that. Specialists in the field have long reported on the chemopreventative aspects of green tea. In a review in Current Drug Targets from 2012, mentions that a large number of experimental studies using a variety of animal models as well as many epidemiological studies have been recorded. Green tea catechins work without causing any major side effects. They prevent the development and progression of precancerous lesions. These were trials that were published in the Molecular Nutrition and Food Research. So this is really important because if you go to the doctor, we'll take a pap smear because everybody knows women get pap smears, right? They get a pap smear, it's abnormal, and most of the time they will say, oh, you've got a precancerous lesion, right? So even with precancerous lesions, people are going to just freak out. They're going to go do whatever they're going to do. But if you know that the catechins in green tea can reverse that precancerous lesion, you're going to have the incentive that you need to take those kind of precautions and add this nutrient into your diet. Green tea's biological effects, such as anti-mutation, antioxidation, and anti-tumor, certainly boost the popularity of East Asia's favorite beverage. Even consumers in North Africa and the United States and Europe enjoy the tea more and more for its antioxidant and anti-cancer qualities. A pooled analysis of prospective studies from the Asia Cohort Consortium published in 2022 in the International Journal of Epidemiology found that consumption of at least 5 cups of green tea per day is associated with lower risk of death from all causes, not just cancer, all causes. So if you've got COPD, if you've got diabetes, if you've got whatever you've got, all causes. So green tea is something that is certainly we should be adding to our diet, knowing that we know what we know now, that it's very, very anti-cancer and that kind of thing. There is a lot more research that is needed to have conclusive that your doctor is going to say, yes, do this, no, do that, whatever. But I want to just tell you, these 2 products are very clean, very, very clean. We have both of them, and if you want to do the 7 cups of tea per day, by all means do that, and get the matcha tea because it has the highest concentration of the catechins in there. Now, I know that the companies, these 2 companies, the scientists go above and beyond to make sure that anything that is toxic is taken out of these components before they reach your hand. So these are the only 2 that I recommend. These are the only 2 that we carry in the clinic, and I'm just going to tell you that I am going to be upping my dose of them because it's very, very important. Now, this one is caffeine free. I know caffeine is naturally in there. Well, this company, they naturally decaffeinate the tea through a process that does not add more chemicals to it. So people come in all the time and they ask me, well, I know you don't want me to drink coffee, but can I do decaf coffee? And the answer is, well, no, because when you decaffeinate the coffee, you're adding more chemicals to it to remove something that is naturally in there, and so you've got a higher toxic burden. Now, this particular company does a particular type of decaffeination which does not do that. And I read this this week, and the writing is really small, and so I don't know if I can find exactly what was in there. However, it shows that they do decaffeinate it in a natural way so that you're not getting any noxious substances. This monograph also says that it's very neuroprotective. So what does that mean? Neuroprotective means that it protects your brain and it protects your nerves. Now, the Tree Green 97, it's called 97 because it's got 97% pure polyphenols, and that's something that's really, really important. Now, it does have caffeine in it, but the caffeine is 1.5 to 2 milligrams of caffeine per capsule. So a cup of coffee is 100 to 150 milligrams per cup. So this one does have caffeine in it, but it's a minute amount. And so you just have to decide whether you want to do 17 doses or you want to do 7 doses, because that's what's important, or you just want to do your 7 cups of tea. I don't care what you do. What I want is to give you information, and I want to learn. I'm a lifelong learner. So because I know this, I'm going to talk to my husband. We're going to start incorporating green tea into our supplement regimen, because everybody is susceptible to cancer because our environment is so messed up. Everybody is susceptible to cancer because our food supply is all messed up. And so if you don't supplement with vitamins, you're not getting enough nutrition in order to stay healthy. So we need to do that. And we do that. Me and my household, we do that. We do green tea from time to time, but we do not do anywhere near 250 grams a month. We just don't. But you know what? Knowledge is power. And so because we know that we need to do that, we're going to do that. Neither one of us have cancer, so thank God we don't have cancer. Neither one of us want to have cancer. And so all of these studies show that if you increase your green tea intake, you're going to do a lot of preventative measures in order that you don't get cancer either. If you already have cancer, it helps reverse cancer. If you're taking tamoxifen or any other medication, breast cancer specifically, the green tea will help that work at a deeper level, and it will be more effective. So that's all good news. It's news that we can use. So I just want to say thank you for joining me. Thank you for honoring me with your presence. Thank you for liking, for sharing, for commenting, all that kind of good stuff, because it helps us reach more people. The more people that comment, the more people that ask questions, that share, all of those things just push it up in the algorithms, and we get to help more people. So thank you so much. Have a great weekend. My watchword for the weekend is self-care. That's part of cancer prevention, is taking care of yourself, making sure you rest, making sure you eat well, making sure you relax, making sure that you cut out all the drama in your life. I know it's hard, but do your best. And I will not see you next Friday. I am going to be at the Nu Skin Pharmanex headquarters, and I'm going to be talking to the scientists, talking to the doctors about just how they make these products and why these products are superior to most other products on the market. So I'm going to be learning and discussing with the scientists. I will not see you next week, but I will see you the next week. So take care of yourself, stay warm, and I will see you in 2 weeks.